upload to the cloud.
Okay.
So we just went live. We're on the live stream on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, if you want to tell your assistant to share it, that's totally cool.
Okay.
But
if you have the link, do let me know. I can go ahead and share that.
it should, you know what? It's probably better actually if you guys share afterwards, because I don't have a way to get you the link unless
Okay,
you were to
no
go
worry.
to my YouTube page. So yeah, but it's gonna bank up there so you can share this. But yeah, so if you're joining us live on one of the streaming platforms, then we're actually doing a live recording of our podcast, Real Estate Greatness. And so you're going to get to experience us recording this, and I'm going to go right into it. And today we've got a really special guest. I'm really excited to learn more about him. So without further ado, here we go.
All right.
Welcome to the Real Estate Greatness Podcast. I'm your host, Scotty Campbell. Here at our podcast, we are super excited to help people live their American dream through the vehicle of real estate. And we strongly believe that you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. So today I've got my new friend, Hoy, with us, and I am super excited to get to know the cash flow agent and hopefully answer some of the questions you guys have out there about doing great things with real estate. So, Hoy, really excited to have you. Welcome to the show.
Well, Scotty, nice to meet you virtually. And like I told you, one of my to-do list every week is that I need to meet new people. So awesome. Scotty, come in. I haven't met him. Okay, let's go meet him.
Easy, this is super fresh, and I love that. And you know what's really cool? What's really cool about the whole thing here is you and I getting to know each other. And in the green room before we went live, he told me that that's one of his goals. That's one of my goals too, is to get to know new people. So we're going to do that live on the air and create some content together today. So without further ado, I want to hear some of your story. I strongly believe that to know where we're going, we have to know where we came from, right? So, Hoy, could you tell me a little bit of your origin story, how you got started into the real estate business, and we'll just take it from there.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So, so that you have to take it all the way back, to when I was working my W-2 job, right? So just like anybody, I was a very, very hungry college kid. I just want a job, right? Hey, I need money. Let me go find a job, right? There's no like investing. There's no real estate. Let me go find a job and get somebody to pay me. And that was for me is to fix computer, right? So my background is in computer science. So I end up working for the school that I study, University of Houston. Don't get me wrong. I love the school. I love people around me. But Scott, when it comes to my paycheck, they promised me.
It was not getting you where you wanted to go fast enough, huh?
Not only that, right? But think of me like just a kid, come fresh from Vietnam, right? I've been on the state, in a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
They told you they pay you $40,000 a year. When you look at your check, you see, don't get me wrong, okay? I don't want to start on politics, but you see Social Security, you see Medicare, you see Medicaid, you see X, Y, and Z, you see so many things take out your paycheck. Yeah. And all of a sudden, it's not $40,000 that they pay you. They pay you, just a little tiny bit of that $40,000. And that just like, for me, it doesn't make sense. Like, how come I work so hard, Scott? I work so hard for my job. I study hard, I work hard. Why is that somebody get to dip in my pocket and take my money before I get to see it, right? And that just make me thinking like, hey, there's got to be a better way, right? Yeah. There's got to be some other way to do this thing. So if you keep digging hard enough, and then you're gonna find a book. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad, right?
Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of the first business books I ever read.
Yeah,
somebody gave it to me when I was 17.
So I read that when I was 18 years old, right? Still have a vague concept, didn't do anything with it, and then I kind of let it, like just sit in my mind until I get a job in my 21 and 22 years old, right? And all of a sudden, all the idea in that book, it come back and it just hit me right in the head, right? That's it. I need to go back. I need to read that book again. And that's where I started my journey on investing in real estate, right?
Wow.
That book is just an idea.
You're 21, 22 years old. You find yourself feeling a little bit frustrated by the experience of a W-2 job. What was your job, by the way, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I fixed computer. Back then, I worked for University of Houston. I was a computer specialist. So I just basically, tech support, right?
Tech support. Okay. You mentioned computers, but that's a pretty wide range. So you were actually doing tech support. And then Rich Dad Poor Dad was I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that was actually before I get my 4-year degree at UBEC,
Okay.
and then
This is during college.
yeah, I
Rich
actually
Dad
get a
Poor Dad
full-time
was
job.
an
Yep.
inspiration for you, it sounds like. And
Yep.
Robert Kiyosaki, you know, for our listeners, if you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, the cash flow quadrant, one of the best, I would say, kind of like launchpad business books, especially for investing in real estate. So let's fast forward to after Rich Dad Poor Dad. What was the first stop on that journey?
Yeah. So you read that book, right? But that book is just an idea, right? It doesn't actually give you any how to. But then if you dig enough, you know, if you kind of follow the guidance in that book, you're gonna eventually find like a lot of local investment club in your area. You're gonna even find yourself talking to real estate agent, right? Back then I'm not a real estate agent. So back, you know, you're gonna find yourself talking to real estate agent, and before you notice, you're gonna start, you know, looking at, you know, houses to buy, right? And for me, you know, it's you know, I kind of, you know, that idea of buying house and renting out is still kind of confused me. So I just want to, you know, get a house so that way I can live in first, right? I just want a house. I don't want to pay rent. You know, I want to, I save up my money during college, you know, so I just want to buy a house. You know, back then, Scott house in Houston is still very cheap, $90,000. You can get a really, really nice house, you know, back then, you know, when I was in college, when I was in 22 years old. So I have my saving, you know, I go get a house. And then my idea is that, hey, and then even after you bought a house, I still have some extra saving money. Believe it or not, I saved so hard during my college year. I didn't party. I didn't do anything fancy at all. So I actually graduated, you know, with some money, not much, but some money, you know, in my pocket, right? It's enough for me to buy a house. And then instead of, you know, most people, this is what most home buyer would do. They would spend like, you know, all of their money into the beautiful back room, into updating the kitchen, into updating, you know, the flooring. I didn't do any of that, right? I have a really good real estate agent. You know, he was my mentor back then, and he was like, hey, you know, like, you want another deal, you know, right? And then he tried to kind of, you know, lead me into this, you know, concept of buying house and leasing it out. So I listened to him. You know, we go out, you know, we buy another house. It was a foreclosure house, you know, $80,000. And then, you know, mortgage was cheap back then, you know, 20% down. And then I was able to lease it out for $1,500, right? And not $1,500, $1,200. So $1,200 is the income. $600 is my mortgage back then. You know, the income, it covered my mortgage. Plus I have about $300 and $400, you know, extra after everything's said and done. And that,
so you were cash flowing pretty much right away on your first investment.
Right away, right? And back then I still do everything by myself. So I remember I would wake up like 4 p.m., Scott, before I go to work. I would wake up at 4 p.m., go to the house, do the painting, you know, try to fix the toilet, you know, try to fix the plumbing, which I'm really bad at, but I still do that anyway. So I would wake up really early in the morning, go work at the house, go to work, and then try to leave a little bit early after work, and then go back work at the house, and then, you know, lease it out. Right?
How long did it take you to rehab that first one, to get it ready to rent?
It was actually a kind of an easy rehab, you know, because I was real scared back then. I didn't want to do anything, you know, crazy. So for that, it's just a couple of plumbing work. I have a handyman that helped me, and then it's just paint. Really, to be honest,
so it was kind of like a lipstick remodel, so to speak. Not a ton of heavy lifting.
Yeah.
So that was number one. And dude, I mean, hats off to you rather. And that's pretty great that you were able to buy it for $80K, $600 mortgage payment, $1,200 rent. You know, that worked out well for you, I assume. So then did you just kind of start building a portfolio from there? What happened next?
Yeah. So, you know, that deal is just like a light bulb just went off in my head, right? You know, and then after that, you know, just kind of snowball from there, right? You save more money, you know, and then you buy the next house, you borrow money, you know, you get your family involved, and then you keep building up your portfolio. Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who hears this right now and says, but here's the problem, I don't have any money? Speak to that person.
Yeah. So there's different way that you can, you know, that you can, you know, use that you can structure your deal, if you will. It doesn't need to be your money, but you need to have money in real estate, right? So, you know, I know everybody, they try to go fancy, they try to go subject to, they try to go BRRRR, you know, but those are complicated, right? You know, why not, you know, just try to save your way to your first house. And I know I take a lot of heat from this, but man, if you don't have the discipline to save and then invest, and then thing is gonna get really difficult for you later on if you don't have that discipline to, let's say, save $10,000, save $20,000. If that is difficult for you, and then real estate is gonna be like super super difficult for you if you cannot even.
It's not a popular opinion to tell people, hey, save up money so you can fund your dream.
Yeah,
right?
I know a lot of people, they's like, hey, you can do BRRRR, you can do subject to, which is good, right? I do all of that, but that comes with experience, right? And when especially when you borrow money, when you borrow your mom money, when you borrow your friend money, that is just a lot of responsibility, right? And I don't think like a brand new agent, the thing that scares me the most right now, Scott, I see brand new people that have no real estate experience, they go out, they start doing syndication. That's just freaking me out, right? You have no experience, you got nothing on your belt, and you go out and you raise that, and then you raise money. That is just super scary, right?
Yeah.
Dude, just have some money, buy your first house, buy your second house, have some credit for yourself before you start managing other people's money.
That's
right?
that's a good piece of advice, man. Absolutely.
That's just my personal opinion.
Well, hey, it is. There's a lot of people that go through really painful experiences, obviously. So actually, that was going to be my next question. Hoyt, would you tell us about a painful or challenging real estate experience you've had, whether it's early on or even more recently, that you had to learn something from in a difficult way?
I have many, Scott, but let me just tell you one. A lot of it has to do with construction contractor. So because we're in the investment business, right? The rehab is really important. So if you don't have your contractor, if you don't have your team, kind of get ready to go, that is gonna be. Oops, I think I lost you.
Oh, I'm here. Sorry, I was just highlighting you.
Oh, okay.
On the screen.
Yeah. So that is some of my earlier challenge, especially before my wife kind of step in and help me out. I will always struggle with, contracting work, right? And unfortunately, I don't have like a hard answer for you. I don't have like a one easy answer for you. You just have to kind of go out there, get involved in a community, like go to the networking event, ask your friend, ask your buddy, really get to know the real estate around you, and trust me, we will help each other, right?
So I think what I hear you saying is the relationships have really helped bring you to where you're at today. You mentioned your wife is involved now. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, so that is also one of the struggle, right? Since we talk about struggle, so one of my biggest project, right, the short-term rental that we work on, this is like a beat up, almost fall apart $100,000 house that I have the gut to buy. If I know what I know now, I'm not gonna buy that house again because it just needs so much work. But back then I was a little naive. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I do that anyway, right? And it's turned out to be like the most challenging rehabbing project ever. And I don't have the experience. And I have all this going on with me, right? With with my real estate business, with EXP, with some other real estate related business stuff. I just don't have the time to kind of babysit and oversee the construction. And that's where Jenny stepped in. And for whatever reason, the way she designed the house is just way better than me, right? The way she put things together, the way she explained things to the contractor, they listen to me, that they listen to her, they don't listen to me. And she just worked better with all of my contractor. And that's just kind of when, she kind of get involved more and more. And she take over that business as the general contractor, right? Now, fast forward, now we do a lot of flip. One of the reasons that we can do a lot of flip right now is, she is the main part of that, of the construction business, right? She kind of oversee and she kind of manage all the subcontractor.
Well, brother, it sounds like you very similar to me, married up.
I like that.
My wife, without my wife, I would probably not be achieving any of what I've achieved the last few years. So she's helped to bring a lot of uplift to it. So it's awesome when you can partner. It's awesome, but it's also challenging to partner with your spouse on these things, right?
So my one advice for that is that, kind of keep it separate. Although we're in real estate, right? But we actually do very separate things, right? Me and my other partner, we're in charge of acquisition. So we buy the deal, we vet the deal. And then after we buy the deal, right? It's all Jenny, right? She gonna in charge of construction. We don't. So
you'll find the deal. You'll work out the buy, and then when does she get involved on the flips?
After we close and have everything set up on the house.
Very
right?
cool.
And
All
then
right.
she would move in with her crew, rehab the house, and then after we finish, we can either lease it out, we can either Airbnb it, long term it,
Yeah.
mid term it, or we can put it back on the market and sell it, to make a quick bucks.
So Hoy, I'm going to ask you to just take your humble hat off here for a minute, okay? Because you wouldn't be on this podcast with me if you weren't doing some great things out there. So I would like you to speak to just some of the successes you've had, because again, we want to inspire people here to take action. We want to inspire people to look at what you're doing and say, man, I want to try that. So let's talk about we'll focus on the investing and flipping, and then we'll move over to your real estate business. But
Okay.
the investing and the flipping, about how many homes are you guys taking down a year right now and flipping out?
Yeah, right now we still average out about 3 homes a month. So
Okay.
if you do the number, 3 times 12 is what? How much?
About 36 ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah, a year.
A year. Okay. And once you've acquired the property, about how long does it take to generally rehab, get it back on the market, get it sold?
It depends, but if I look at all my number, it usually take maybe like a month and a half.
That's awesome. You guys are you've got a system. Sounds like you have a great system built. And then
It's really important. Yep.
so you have your real estate business. Tell me a little bit about what that looks like and what's your kind of day to day when it comes to the real estate work that you do.
Yeah. So investing, with that flipping business is one of my main bread and butter. But then other than that, I'm gonna put my humble hat back on. I'm still a real estate agent, right? I'm still serving buyers, serving seller, and especially I'm still serving investor, right? Most of my client is investor.
Great.
And I believe that there's a lot of deal out there for everybody.
Oh my gosh, this year is proving that, right? I mean, the investors are taking action. When a bunch of people are fleeing and in fear about getting in the market, the investors are just saying, no, we're doubling down.
Yeah, so my mindset is that like, hey, if you have a cake, let's share it, right? There's always still coming in when you have that growth mindset. So other than helping my wife, I'm working with a lot of other investor, and then some deal, it's gonna work for them. I give them the deal, so I help other people find deal and create web and real estate as well, right? So that is one of my main focus. Helping me, yes, but then like, hey, if Scott need a deal, let's work with him, right? If anybody that need use real estate to kind of propel you to the next level, and then I'm gonna be there to help you, right? I kind of been there, done that already. I kind of know what you go to, let me guide you to that process, right?
So it sounds like you're kind of leading with an abundance mentality that that there's enough for all of us to succeed, and you're sharing that with other people around you. So let's dovetail that into, you have quite a sizable team under the EXP platform, don't you?
Yeah. And that's too, right? And it speaks to your, kind of the abundant mindset, because most of the real estate agent up until the model that we have, if I have something really cool, Scott, I'm gonna hold it for myself, because why would I share with you my secret sauce, especially if we're in the same market, and then you're gonna go out and do the same thing that I do, and then you're gonna become my competition, right?
Yeah.
That is not what I'm trying to do. Whatever I know, Scott, I try to give it all to you, right? Because I want you to go out and do the same thing I did, if not better, right? And just because of the model that we set up, if I can show my agent the same thing I did, and then they can go out and do it better than me, they make more money, and then I make a little bit of money. But then you have the economy of scale. I have 300 people with me, and plus, right, we grow every week. We grow every day. The more agent you help buyer, you help seller, and then you help real estate agent. The more real estate agent you help, the more money they make, the more money you make as well, right?
So 300 people roughly, and now regionally or geographically, where are these folks located?
Oh, I love this question. International, Scott. I have international people. Yeah, I have people.
You're the international cash flow agent, man.
Yeah. Well, because if you think about the EXP model, we don't have boundary, right? You can actually attract agents from all over the state and all over the country, right? Whenever EXP conduct business. So I am lucky enough, I know some Colombian agent here. They work really hard, and then they travel to Colombia. And then they happen to know some real estate agent in Colombia, and all of a sudden, I have real estate agent in Colombia, and whenever they close a deal in Colombia, I get a little bit of the commission too, right? And how cool is that?
That's really cool that you've been able to kind of parlay that. So
Mhm.
Are you providing some kind of a leadership structure to all the folks that are
Mhm.
working within your group?
Yeah. So leadership, you actually hit the nail right on the spot right there, Scott. Leadership is one of my big things this year, and it's gonna be years and years following forward. Sales skill, salesmanship. Everybody is focused on sales, right? But
Yeah.
there's this thing called leadership, right? I don't
Yeah.
see everybody talk about it, and if you just spend a little bit of time to work on your leadership, become a better leader, become a better father, become a better mom, become a better son. Just try to bring up your personal growth and your
Yeah.
leadership. It's gonna help with your showmanship, and
I totally, man, I love that. I agree 100%. I got some books behind me, but I'm a
yeah,
big leadership, like reader. I've loved John Maxwell stuff for
there you
years.
go.
And man, I'll tell you, I love to dig into something that's going to make me better. You mentioned something that hit the nail on the head for me. I'm a father to two little girls. We're expecting our third kid, a little boy, in February. Are you a dad, by the way?
Huh?
Are you,
Nah, no, we still
no
having
kiddos.
fun.
So I was going to ask you, from my perspective, one of the biggest challenges that I've found is I love to work and I love to, do the things that I feel that I'm on this earth to do. And a lot of that is outside of, my family per se, but it's for my family. And the end of the day, I'm working to create a legacy.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, to that end, how do you handle the balance or I don't even like the word balance. I typically say the harmony of life, for you and your wife and your family and your friends versus the work life. How does that work for you?
I love this question, Scott, and I think I actually just got off another interview, and we talk about the exact thing. Here's what people do, right? They get out, they get excited, they put real estate on the calendar, and
Yeah.
all the important thing in their life, they put it around real estate. You know,
Yes.
and then they wonder why their life is miserable, right? That is exactly what happened because you put real estate first, so you work for real estate, right? And then that's what happened. What you should do, Scott, and for the people listen to the show, you have to make real estate work for you, right? What is important for
Mm,
you first, right? Tell me a perfect day that you have. Tell me your perfect work day, your perfect free day. You put the thing that is really important to you first on your calendar, and
yep.
then real estate will happen around that, right? That
Yeah.
way you make real estate business work for you and support you, not the other way around.
Oh, that's
So
so good, Hoy. That's so good. I've got a friend of mine that's an agent, and he, we've been talking about this for years.
yeah,
Taking a day off in real estate is really tough until you just do it.
yeah.
And then once you do it,
Yeah.
it's therapeutic. But one of the challenging things is you probably love what you do, and you've got a lot of different projects going. So just give us a couple of pointers on how you personally manage your calendar and make sure everything gets done.
Yeah. So time blocking is definitely important. Like I told you,
Yep.
for example, this meeting, right? I told you gonna be here at 3 o'clock, and then I'm gonna be here at 3 o'clock. My
Mhm.
phone blow up, people call me. It doesn't really matter, right? I told Scott I'm gonna be here at 3 p.m. I'm here presently, and then I'm gonna give you everything that you have, in 45 minutes. And if you can just focus on that, because I see
Yeah.
a lot of real estate agents, their mind is kind of everywhere, right? They meet with
All
you,
over the place. Yes.
they meet with you, but then they're on the phone. When they're on the phone, they worry about, something happened at kid, and then all of a sudden, you don't have anything that you don't moving the ball forward, if you will. So the
Yeah.
first time is, really put the stuff that is really important on your calendar in that on that day or that week, and then
Yeah.
you make sure that even a bomb go off, you don't care, you complete that task, right? And then make sure that you always have some free time. For example, I tell all my people in my team, I am mostly accessible from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., right? Unless I tell you
There you
otherwise.
go.
So I make myself as a leader. This is leadership, right? I make myself very accessible to my team, right? And my accessible time, you have to tell people is from, let's say 3 to 5, right?
Mhm.
And then
It's almost like you have some office hours where you're available to provide support.
yeah. So that way, my morning, I can eat the frog, if you will. So I take,
Yep.
I do prospecting, I work on my business, I improve my business, I do a lot of
Yep.
important stuff in the morning. And then, as a leader, you have to make yourself available for your group and for your company.
It's
Yeah.
a great book, Eat That Frog. And I love that, you do the hardest thing first.
Yeah.
You do the most important thing first that moves the needle. And it's
Mhm.
not saying that the other things aren't important, because you meeting with and leading your team, that's vitally important.
Yep.
But if
Yep.
you're not prospecting, if you're not out there making moves in the market, and doing what you need to do to move your business forward, then your leadership to them is not nearly as valuable. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And we have a saying in our company, right? We don't lead by word, we lead by example.
That's so good.
Right? And just
Yeah,
action. And
that's leadership 101. So I want to respect your time, of course, and we try to keep this to around 30 minutes. So with the last few minutes, I want to hit you with some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
These are some questions that I've done some polls in order to prepare for this podcast. And so these are just some of the questions that have come in that people are curious about, those who are succeeding in real estate. So some of them are specifically focused on you as a realtor, real estate agent. Some of them are just more focused around your life. So I have a few here. What's the one single activity that generates most of your listing leads? The one single activity that generates most of your listing leads.
Yeah, so mine is gonna be different, because I focus on investment, and if I can find a deal for my client to flip, and then automatically I have that listing.
Yep.
So I can send you the training that I have, but I really focus on the buy box, because if Scott asked me to, like, hey, I want a good deal, I don't know what is a good deal to Scott, so I have to keep peeling the onion. Like, hey, Scott, what is, can you help me more? Can you help me? What is a good deal look like to you? Is it in this zip code? Is it in this price range? How old is the house? Does it need to have a garage? So I really nail down exactly what you need, Scott, and then I create you a buy box. Right?
So you're creating a buy box mainly because you're servicing mainly investors. You're creating a buy box, and you're saying, okay, let's nail down what's going to work for you. Then you're looking for a property, and you're going to help them flip it.
Yeah,
in many cases.
Flip it, lease it, long term it, mid term it, Airbnb it. But every of my client, I know exactly what they're looking for. I have the buy box, so we constantly, either on the MLS or off the MLS, we constantly go look for deal for this investor.
Well, if you're willing to share that training, I'd love to put a link on our posting of the podcast. So send that over to me, and we'll share that out and hopefully get you some more opportunities from it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Same question for buyer leads, right? So that was more listings. Buyer leads. Where are you coming across the folks that you're helping to buy?
So I am a big believer of your environment is really important, right? So let's say one of my struggle right now, I try to lose weight, and then my mom cook really good. It's gonna be super hard for me to lose weight because she's always cooking, right?
Absolutely, man.
The weight thing is quite not working for me yet, but that is to point the idea of you have to surround yourself with the environment. So if you want to work with let's say investor, you have to know where the investor hang out, right? You have to go to networking, you have to go to investment event, you have to go to where your quote unquote folks hang out in order for them to in order for you to connect with them, right?
So you do a lot of I would assume networking groups, things like that.
In the past, and now I have a really good sphere of influence. And my bad, I should have gone out to more networking event. But now, since I focus more on growing my revenue share group, EXP, so I'm more focusing on, going to more like a real estate agent related event. But same thing, right? I kind of put myself in that environment.
Same thing. I mean, it's you're taking action. You're going where the fish are. If you go fishing, you got to go where the fish go.
Yeah. So one thing I would say is that, kind of, I don't know how you say it, but kind of if there's a way for you, Scott, to kind of employ your hobby with your business, and then you really just having fun and not really thinking about business, and then it's still going to bring you business, right? So for me, I play tennis, right?
Nice.
When I'm on the court, I really want to play tennis, but a lot of the time they're going to ask you, what you do for a living, right? And then you tell them what you do, and if you connect with people on a personal level, like friendship, to sport, right? Sport is a really good way to get to know people. They know the way you hit the ball is the same way you're going to send an offer. Right?
I love that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was never great at tennis. My little sister played. She played in college. She was really good. My dad played a little bit, but
so kind of get to know people on a more personal level, and then
fantastic,
you're not looking to build business. You're looking to build relationships.
Yeah, you're genuinely interested in what's going on in their life, and
there you go.
I think when you lead with that, then you end up business just comes, because again, it goes back to an abundance mindset.
Yeah,
you're going to do this hobby anyway. You may as well make great connections. Hey, is there any sort of I would say it like this: what are some of your favorite technology tools for real estate? Is there anything that you just must have that you can't live without?
Yeah. So for real estate, we use KV Core.
Okay.
KV Core is a CAM system. If
Mhm.
you are with eXp Realty, that is provided to all the real estate agents. So I leverage KV Core, to kind of manage all my, database, if you will.
Mhm.
So KV Core, HomeBot, I love HomeBot because, they kind of keep you updated on, all of the, on
Oh,
your
yeah.
house value. Yeah. So
One of our favorite systems. We use that very actively. Yep.
yeah. So KV Core, HomeBot, and then recently I use a tool is called OneUp.io. It
Okay.
automatically schedule all of your social media posts for you and for really cheap, right? StreamYard is a good one. I use StreamYard
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then let's say what else do I use? Recently, AI coming in. So, me and my assistant, my executive assistant, we start to leverage a lot of AI into our business, right? So from
Great.
ChatGPT to, help you write a listing description. And then, from a video, from a StreamYard like this, if you go to a website, it's called Opus Clip, OPUS Clip. It automatically chop all your long form video. It automatically chop them into a smaller form in the fraction of the cost, and it
Oh, that's
knows
awesome. It's called Opus Clip, OPUS.
OPUS. And Scott,
OPUS. Okay.
they know exactly where to chop it off. You don't have to do anything.
Powerful stuff, man.
I was like,
The AI revolution is here, man. It's here. And we I strongly believe that real estate agents, lenders, people who do what we do, we're never going to be replaced by AI, but
Mhm.
those who use it will be replacing those who don't. You've got to leverage technology for sure.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah,
hey, we're going to get closed out here. Thank you so much for your time. Before we get going, is there anything you feel like, man, I wish he would have asked that and he didn't ask me? Anything I should have asked you that I didn't today?
No, I think we cover pretty much everything, Scott. So like again, thank you for kind of sharing my story. I kind of want to use my
Absolutely.
story to, inspire the next generation of real estate agent, inspire the next generation of real estate investor, right?
Yeah.
I come here to this country, I wasn't born here, right? I came here, I go here. I think that I'm gonna have a job, but then, all of a sudden, you end up doing like, much amazing thing, right?
Well, thank you for leading by example and leading the charge. You're making a difference here in our local city. And before I let you go, what's one piece of advice you would give to somebody who's just looking to get started right now?
Well, we're short on time, so I'm gonna steal this from one of my agents because she just mentioned that with me. Have an open mind and always say yes to opportunity, right? I'm gonna quote Grant Cardone again. If you're not sure, just say yes first. Yeah, you can
That's
always say
good.
no later, right? Hey, I would love to help you, Scott. Yes, but right. So if anytime you have doubt, just say yes first, right? You always
Just
say
say
yes.
yes. I love it. Say
Yeah.
yes and figure out the how later, man. That's awesome. So
Thank you,
good.
thank you. You really work. You really good with words, Scott. I'm kind of struggle when I try to.
Oh, you're used to you. Hoy, it has been an absolute pleasure to get to know you today. And thank you for being on the podcast. I look forward to getting to know you even better.
Yeah.
And, thank you for sharing some of your wisdom with our listeners today, because I believe, again, as we started today, we're going to wrap up saying you don't have to be great to start. You just have to start to be great. And so hopefully this has inspired you. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please share it with at least 3 people that you know. And Hoyt, we'll see you on the flip side. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best platform to engage with you on social media or website?
Yeah. So you probably found me on social media. Scott, my Instagram name is Cashflow Agent. So
Yep.
if you just Google my name and then Cashflow Agent, and then you should see me on the internet. And then there should
Perfect.
be a contact button. There should be a DM button.
Awesome.
Me and my assistant, we monitor all the communication channels. So
if you guys want to reach out to Hoyt, get any additional questions for him, feel free to reach out to him on social media. This concludes our episode today. Thanks again for being with us.
That was so good. Thank you, Scott.